Hello everybody, welcome to Crafty Soup. My name is Misty and today I'm taking you on a tour of my craft space. I am a creative team member over at the Scrap Happy blog, and as part of the blogging this month we're all talking about organization. So I thought I'd show you a few of the ways that I organize my craft space. So let's take a step back. And I will start the tour by saying that I work in an unfinished basement, so you can see that it is definitely an unfinished basement. Now my craft room isn't amazing, but it works for me and I love it. I hope you can get some organization tips out of this. So let's start here with my papers. Now these bins were on one of the shelves that you saw over that way. And I'll show you some more over there, but they were getting too damaged on the bottom and too heavy to pull in and out of that shelf. So I set them up on this kitchen cart, and this is how I organize my papers. So I put them with these hanging files, and this is just office supplies, and I'll link you up to these particular boxes. Not a lot of boxes will fit in the IKEA shelves, but these ones do. Now they do come with lids, but I'll get to that later. Because the papers are taller than typical office supply paper, I can't put the lid on there. So these are legal size hanging files that span the length of the box, but they also work in the other direction if you use letter size files in the United States. This box is paper pads, and this box is individual sheets of paper. And you can see that I have them categorized by various styles of paper, and in the front I have different colors of paper, and here is stuff that is waiting to be, either it's new or it's waiting to be refiled into the system. So that is the bulk of my paper. I do have a few other paper items, but we'll get to those when we head that way. So on this cart I also have some tools up here. And then down there is some backup supplies, so coffee filters for embossing and storage items and whatnot. And then that is a button maker that is not technically a crafty supply, but sometimes I use it in here. Mostly it's just being stored there when nobody's using it. I do have a little bit of a cozy space here. This basement did have a fireplace when we moved in. I created a bit of a mantle above the fireplace just with these chains that hang, so this thing is not attached to the wall anyway. It can swing, so I have bumped it a few times. This is my current backlog of ribbon that I'm organizing, so I will show you in a minute how I am organizing that. And then up here I just have, some things that I find inspiring. And then this corner over here is mostly for sewing. I do have a gift wrapping corner, which, as you can tell, needs a little bit of attention. So I didn't clean for this tour. I just kind of tidied a little bit. But as you can tell, some things just aren't quite tidy enough. So like I said, this is mostly sewing, but I do have some bulk storage of items up here. These are mostly page protectors of various kinds, as well as when I was teaching card classes, that is my teaching binder. And then all of my items for traveling, which are currently not being used during COVID. Let me close this drawer because I pulled my mic out of there. And a lot of this stuff is just backup organizational stuff. So I've got various hot glues, other glues, various adhesives in here, so when I run out I always have a backup here, and then I can reorder and restock here. Some tech stuff for filming YouTube videos and whatnot, and then some little used paint items, spray sealants and such. So let's head this way. So this corner is my main supply storage, and I have been doing a little bit of reorganizing lately, and I will talk about that in a minute. So the biggest thing was, you see how I've got those boxes down here on the bottom? These ones I don't use quite as often, and in fact this one is themed items, so anything that's like baby related or travel related, so stuff that I only use in very specific themes are in that box. And I'm actually going to trade that box with the one over there that has the paper pads, because I don't use the paper pads as much, and I use the themed items just slightly more often. And so I'm going to move those around. These drawers used to have ink pads in them, but I'm currently reorganizing that, so there's not much to see there right now. These are how I store my alphabet supplies. So this bin is kind of specialty alphabets by color, and in the front I have multicolors, and then it all gets sorted by color. And then we have glittery, let's see, we have glittery and special alphabets in the back. This one is smaller alphabets, so I have alphabet books as well as alphabets sorted by color in smaller sizes, because I do like to mix and match my fonts often. Now, these are the IKEA Expedit shelves. The newer version is called the Calic shelves, which are very, very popular. But you notice they have a lot of space above. So I've been experimenting with trying to create my own little shelving to go in here to give myself some more room. So far, this is not working. So if I come up with some fabulous idea, I will definitely post it to YouTube. But in the meantime, I'm still experimenting. And then this is more alphabets in here. Those are like almost, these are alphabets that have been almost entirely used up, and I can't really spell much left out of them, but I hate throwing it away, so that's mostly what that is. I just have some instruction manual organization, and this is how I store my layouts that I'm waiting to put away. So in addition to storing things in these file boxes, you could also just store pattern papers and such on a shelf. I do add these chipboard pieces. Some of them I've just recycled from supply shipments, and I did purchase a nice thick set of them when I was working on experimenting with those shelves. But I use these and just a bookend, and you can store all of your scrapbook paper this way. You could even divide it up either with plain file folders, and you can put the papers in the file folders, or you can just put the file folders in between different categories of paper. So that is another very inexpensive, easy to do way to store pattern papers. And if you put them in the file folder, you can pull out a file, kind of flip through it, and then put the file back. So that is one way that I recommend, or that I found anyway, that works for me. Maybe it'll work for you, but maybe it won't. So what else have we got over here? Just some older projects that I've never finished. This is storage of 6x6 pattern papers, and I use a lot of these fridge bins. Now, these bins are nice and sturdy, but they are kind of pricey. So right now I don't need any more bins, but if I were to look for something in the future, I would probably try and find something a little bit more affordable. And then here is some embellishments. These are all just word embellishments, and I have these little pouches that kind of break down the words by theme. So if I'm looking for something specific, I can get into there. This is something I created, probably a couple years ago, and I really like this system. The only thing is that these bins are all connected together, and it gets pretty heavy. So I would do this in two separate single bins side by side because of the weight. But these are just 4x6 photo storage boxes. And I like how easy it is to just pull something out, open it up, grab what I need, and then tuck it back away. And I do have them labeled so that I can quickly identify what I'm looking for. And then if I feel like reorganizing things, like for instance, I had all my wood and cork pieces put into other categories like flowers, arrows, hearts, and such. And I found that I was really wanting wood elements. So I put them all back together and I reorganized that. So this is a very flexible way to divide up your supplies into any categories that work for you. If you like to organize by color, that certainly could work. And then the nice thing about these drawers also is that you can fit most full packages of supplies without having to break them apart if you don't want to. I often will break them apart and then I'll put them into pouches like this. And these are just stamp pouches that are available at Simon Says Stamp. And I learned the stamp pouch system for storing my stamps from Jennifer McGuire. And I thought, why can't that work for embellishments as well? So this is just a mix of full-size embellishment packs along with stamp pockets, which I use for flatter items, and then these photo bins, which I use for if I have just a lot of items or chunky items, then that's that. And then I have 2 of those for different embellishments. Now, if embellishments don't fit in these, I do have a couple of 12 by 12 heavy duty storage pouches, which I keep, so large cut files. Where's my other one? Up here. Like I said, I'm moving things around, so I've kind of lost track. So these are things that I haven't sorted through yet, or jumbo chipboard sheets and full-size sticker sheets and the like go in these pouches. But for the most part, I can fit everything I need in there. And then these 2 rows, let's see, are all my clear stamp storage, and this is pretty much what Jennifer McGuire does. She makes fancier dividers. I just use that chipboard and some labels because it's very inexpensive, and I just do it that way. So mine aren't pretty looking, but you could pretty it up if you wanted to take the time. And then, like I said before, these bins have more paper in them, and let me show you. So they can just slide out of here. The problem is that they get pretty heavy and tip. And I do have my cabinets up off the ground because it is a basement. There is, you know, some possibility that we could get water down here. So I raise these up off the ground on some bricks, which means if these things try to tip forward, it's going to crush the ends of the paper. So I keep weird boxes around so that when I pull these out, they are supported, and then I can shift through, look at what I need, and put them back in. Like I said, that in and out action for my pattern papers was just chewing up the bottoms of these boxes, but I've had these going for years, so even with that problem, these have lasted a really long time and have done really well for me. And then, like I said, that one is themed items, both papers and embellishment. I keep all the themed stuff in its own category. And then that's just 8.5 by 11 cardstock, which would fit perfectly fine flat with the lid on, except for the lids don't fit in the IKEA cabinets. So I'll show you what I do with those lids in a minute. Up here is just a mess of stuff. There's a little bit of mixed media stuff in there. All the cards that I have pre-made, so if I need a card for an event, I can get up there, and just some other albums and stuff. So let me show you my ribbon storage. So if you remember over there, I had just bundles of ribbon. This is how I am reorganizing the ribbon currently. So let me take this out and set it down for a minute so I can show you. So I started this project, let's see, here's one, just doing it on index cards, and I would cut a bit of a notch, if you can see that there on the index card so the ribbon wouldn't fall off, and then punched a hole, and then you can thread the loose end through the hole and put a paper clip on it to hold it in place. And that was working pretty well. I did have to glue multiple sheets of index cards together, but I got tired of the time it took, so I did design a cut file for my Cricut machine that will pre-make these ribbon cards, and it'll cut the hole and the notches. And this is actually working quite well for me right now. So that one did not have a paper clip. Let me see. So you can see the ribbon goes through the hole, and then if it's falling loose or something, I will paper clip it in place. That one's just an original card, so if the cards that they come on fit in here, I'll just use those. So I am in the process of updating all of my ribbon storage. So that's what's in this bin. Now these are 4x6, I think, little files for index cards, but you can buy little index card boxes and do the exact same thing from the office supply store. And then here is just more ribbon that I'm getting to. And you can see some of my empty original takes on this system. Here are some specialty card making stuff. So I have shaker elements and such in there. I don't even know what's in there. Oh, just clear plastic storage in case I need plastic for some kind of technique or something like that. Mailing and shipping supplies, all of my card stocks for various card making things or printing cardstock on the printer. And then all my photo supplies, because I do print my own photos at home. 99% of the time I do. So these are all my photo supplies, printer ink, that kind of thing. These are, I was a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator for a while, so I have quite the back catalog of Stampin' Up! Stamps. And as I go, I'm trying to unmount these. You heat them in the microwave for like 10 seconds and then peel the rubber off, and the foam will stay attached to the rubber. And then you can put those on some kind of, carrier sheet of some sort, and then cut them apart and store them like you would clear stamps over here, or even now a lot of people are making the unmounted rubber stamps. So that is 2 big bins of stamps, which I have more stamps than I need, so I do need to sort through those and kind of narrow it down some. So down here is all my watercoloring supplies, because that is one of my favorite techniques to use on crafty projects. And then here is kits that were pre-made kits that I'm not ready to break apart yet, so those live in there. And like I said, a lot of my system works on drawers. So everything, I just like the ease of pulling out a drawer, grabbing something, tossing it back in, and shutting the drawer again. So I really like that idea. So my photo printer, it also acts as our family's regular printer. Let's see, down there are more drawers, because I love drawers. And so a lot of these are kits that I have in progress. So most of this stuff is various kits that I've been working with and haven't been ready to break apart. There's a couple of tools in the bottom one. And then actually, I've got washi tape in this one. So these trays were specialty trays from a scrapbooking store, and they were quite pricey for what you get, this little flimsy plastic. So I would just go to, pen and pencil organization in the office store and use those instead, because these were too expensive. But I don't have a gazillion rolls of washi tape, but I've got enough to keep me busy. And as you can see, I'm kind of starting to overflow this bin. So that is a good reason to sort through things and purge, because if stuff doesn't fit anymore, maybe I have too much stuff. So that's kind of one of my life philosophies right now. So here are the lids. I know I don't think I can back up enough, but here are the lids for those storage boxes. And what I do is I use them as active project trays. So I keep all my trays, pardon the cord on my heat gun. I keep all of, no, that cord is not cooperating. So I keep all of the trays stacked up down here. And as you can see, I've got these 3 currently have active projects in them. So I really like using these to keep active projects, or this bottom one is stuff that I need to put away. So if I'm in a hurry or I don't have a lot of time to clean, I'll just throw stuff in one bin, and then I can take that bin around my room and put things away as I pull them out of the tray. So that works very well for me to keep tidy and put everything away. So up here these are some items that I'm storing by color. I don't do a lot of that, but I realized every once in a while there's a few things I want by color, so I'm starting that again. This is my current alphabet system. This is how I am storing all my pre-made alphabets, which I cut on my Cricut. This is a supply, like I was talking about file folders and storing your pattern papers. Right here I have projects stored for an event that I'm doing this weekend. And then just a wall of pretty stuff to make me happy, since this is an unfinished basement. And then I have my cutting machines. Because I am designing cut files these days, I do have both my Cricut and a much older Silhouette, which I have considered getting rid of, but because I want to make sure that whatever I'm designing works on both systems, I keep it around. And actually, I prefer the Silhouette software. The machines both cut similarly, but the software for the Silhouette makes me much happier. However, I bought this Cricut because it can cut way more materials. And that was shortly before Silhouette came out with a similar machine. So it is what it is, and that's what I have now. Let's see, this is where I keep my ink pads and markers. Most markers, not all of them, are in here yet, because this, like I said, was something I started reorganizing not too long ago. And these labels that I've put on here to make things prettier are a cut file that I designed. So those are available for download, as well as, let's see, these storage trays I have a tutorial on. They are not currently a cut file, but I think I will convert them to a cut file at some point. If you're interested in that, do leave me a comment, because it will take a little bit of work to get that done. And I want to make sure people would enjoy that before I put the effort into it. And also the ribbon storage cards are a cut file available for download. So I will link you up to all of that in the show information. So let's head back over here. Just a few more things on the wall that makes me happy. I do have my color swatches in there. I've got my kids' story binders, and I keep pre-printed photos along with journaling pages that I keep for the kids. These are categorized by month because while I don't necessarily scrapbook chronologically, I do file all my layouts away chronologically, so I keep track of the dates of items so I know where they're going to go in the kids' permanent scrapbooks later. And then this is a catch-all category for my husband, myself, and other scrapbooky stories. My lovely label maker. You'll probably have noticed that I've got labels on a lot of things. And this is heat embossing supplies, markers that I haven't sorted through yet, and then a few tools down there. My manual die cutting station. I've got this box is a divided rows in here, and so this row is new supplies that I'm still wanting to get to playing with, or I haven't kind of cataloged them yet, because I keep a digital catalog of all my stamp supplies and such, so I don't duplicate buying things. So these are all the new things that need that. These are stamps and stuff that I use specifically for scrapbooking, so words and dates that are really specific to scrapbooking. And then I've got a few photos in here that are backups, or that were photos that I printed for projects and ended up not using. So I will file those away for any future things that might come up. And then here is my main desk, and this is my filming setup. You can see up here my I just film, let's see, I film with an older Android phone that the screen broke, or technically, because it was glass on the back, the back broke, not the screen. So that is a broken phone that I have glued all the glass pieces down to, and now I use it to film, and so that's mounted up there, and then my filming lights. So it's not a fancy setup, it's a pretty affordable setup, and it's working well enough for now. And then tools that I use on every single project are here, which reminds me, we did not do these drawers. So these drawers are also tools and supplies that I use on a regular basis. So the adhesives that I use almost every time, tools that I use very frequently, and a couple of black ink pads that I use very frequently, journaling pens. And so that's most of what's in here. I do have some punches, so I keep, not some punches, but this drawer and the one below are all my punches that I have. And because I have die cutting manually, electronic die cutting, I just have a little bit of each kind of cutting tools. So these are all, let's see, my stamp positioners. I've got adhesives in here, various adhesives. All my stamp blocks, my roller stamps, those all live in here. Then I have some more tools that are very handy. Although I think I could swap out some of these things with some of the tools over there. I'm not sure that the tools over there would fit, but I don't use all of these things too often, so maybe some trading up would be a good idea. And then these are all coloring mediums down here. And then, like I said, those are all punches. And then my Copic markers. What else do we need to talk about? One more bin down here. This is where all my scraps live. So if I'm done with a project and I don't feel like I'm going to use the scraps anytime soon, I will put them in here. And I'm currently, you can see there's one on the floor. I'm currently starting to categorize these. Before I had them categorized by size, but I am now trying to categorize them by elements. So I've got some florals, some stripes, and whatnot, because I tend to work that way more often. I do have some cardstocks back here that are by color, because when I'm cutting cardstock, it's all about the color. So that's how those are stored, leftover watercolor pieces and whatnot. So I think that is pretty much the tour of my space. If you're curious about any storage items that perhaps I didn't mention, you can drop me a question and I'd be happy to answer that. But I think that's it for now. So I know I love to peek into people's crafty spaces because I like to see how people do it. So I hope you found this little crafty tour interesting in some way. So thanks for joining me, and I will see you next time.